U.S. President Donald Trump threatens 200% tariffs on European alcohol products amid the ongoing trade war in response to the EU's latest tit-for-tat tariffs against the U.S. The local economy continues to feel pressure due to weaker consumer sentiments and growing trade uncertainties, says the Finance Authority's latest Green Book. Calling North Korea once again a nuclear power, President Trump highlights his good relationship with the regime's leader Kim Jong-un, hinting at a possible revival of U.S. diplomacy with the regime. It's March 14th, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter. Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We begin with the ongoing global trade war. President Trump warns of a 200% tariff on European wine and champagne if the EU proceeds with a 50% levy on American whiskey. All this started with U.S. tariffs on steel and aluminum products this week. Park Go-nu explains.
The U.S.-led trade war is intensifying as President Donald Trump told reporters on Thursday that he would not reconsider reciprocal tariffs set to be imposed on April 2nd.
Look, we've been ripped off for years, and we're not going to be ripped off anymore. Aluminum or steel or cars, we're not going to bend.
Trump also uploaded a post on social media threatening that he would soon impose a 200% tariff on alcohol products, coming out of France and other EU-represented countries, saying that would be great for U.S. wine and champagne businesses. That's in response to plans announced by the European Commission on Wednesday to retaliate with tariffs on U.S. goods worth $28 billion, including a 50% tariff on whiskey from April. This came after the U.S. started imposing a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports from Wednesday. EU Commission head Ursula von der Leyen, during a visit to South Africa, said on Thursday the EU would defend its interests, while adding that it's also open to negotiations. She also said the bloc's trade commissioner plans to speak with his U.S. counterpart on related issues over the phone on Friday. And with the trade war intensifying, trade officials from South Korea visited Washington to discuss tariff issues.
If we're taking an exam, there must be some grading criteria. We need to first understand that criteria, and based on that, we should quickly correct any mistakes and need to persuade them on the points where we can.
He added that they plan to request reciprocal measures to minimize the impact of the upcoming U.S. reciprocal tariffs. Park Go-nu, Arirang News.
Acting President Choi Sang-mok has urged close cooperation among financial authorities to ensure market stability. During a related meeting on Friday, Choi highlighted the possibility of volatility in light of uncertainty over external factors, including the Trump administration's tariff campaign and its broader ripple effects. That being said, he also underscored the importance of a 24-hour monitoring system to track financial and foreign exchange markets to allow for a swift and coordinated response. Meanwhile, uncertainties over domestic politics and U.S. tariffs continue to weigh heavily on the Korean economy. Our Lee Soo-jin has the latest economic assessment.
South Korea's economy is facing growing pressure as domestic demand remains weak and global uncertainties worsen. That's according to the latest Economic Green Book, a monthly economic assessment report released by the Finance Ministry on Friday. This also marks the fourth consecutive month that the government stated that the economy faces growing downside pressure in its report, after first including the phrase in its December Green Book after the martial law declaration.
We began using the term economic downward pressure as uncertainties grew, which can be categorized into two types currently. The first is domestic uncertainty, leading to a decline in consumer sentiment. The second is trade uncertainty from Trump's policies.
While the overall assessment was largely reminiscent of last month, this month's report also highlighted that the growth in exports is slowing. The daily exports average came to $2.4 billion in February, a nearly 6% drop compared to the previous year.
Because of the tariffs that are put by the Trump administration, as well as domestic political problems sparked by the Trump administration, we're seeing growth in U.S. slowing down, and that is affecting the global economy as well as Korean exports as well.
Recovering domestic demand also remains sluggish as consumption and investment slow. Retail sales, a key measure of consumer spending in January, fell 0.6% compared to the previous month as sales of both semi-durable goods and non-durable goods declined. As for retail sales in February, drops in sales at department stores and large supermarkets are expected to have a negative impact, while the rise in credit card transactions and increased auto sales are projected to act as positive factors. Investment also showed a sharp decline as facility investment in January plunged more than 14% on month, marking the biggest drop since October 2020 due to decreases in investments in machinery such as semiconductor manufacturing and transport equipment. To address ongoing concerns, the government plans to further strengthen support for local businesses affected by U.S. tariffs and to mitigate trade uncertainties through measures that include establishing a dedicated financial support fund. 이수진, Arirang News.
On to the political front, acting President Choi Sang-mok has vetoed a bill calling for a special probe into an obscure political broker called Myung-tae-gyun. The veto was largely expected and came on Friday at a cabinet meeting during which Choi pointed out that Myung was already under investigation by the prosecution. Last month, the main opposition Democratic Party unilaterally passed a bill seeking to investigate allegations of election fraud involving President Yoon Suk-yeol, First Lady Kim Jong-un, and Myung. Mr. Trump has referred to North Korea as a nuclear power again, as he touted his ties with Kim Jong-un. Our Kim Jong-sil covers his latest remarks and the response from South Korea's unification ministry.
U.S. President Donald Trump once again expressed confidence in his leadership with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
I had a great relationship with Kim Jong-un, North Korea. If I wasn't elected, if Hillary got in, you would have had a nuclear war with North Korea.
Speaking to reporters in Washington on Thursday, Trump emphasized the importance of continuing dialogue, referring to North Korea as a nuclear power, a recognition with significant diplomatic implications. In response, a spokesperson from the South Korean Ministry of Unification reaffirmed the nation's unwavering commitment to North Korea's denuclearization.
North Korea's denuclearization remains a steadfast principle upheld by South Korea, the U.S., and the international community. Our government will continue to strengthen close cooperation with the new U.S. administration to achieve this objective.
Trump also reflected on how his diplomatic efforts, including several meetings with Kim Jong-un during his first term, contributed to the success of the 2018 Winter Olympics in South Korea.
The meeting caused the Olympics, which was in South Korea, to become a tremendous success. Nobody was buying tickets for the Olympics because they didn't want to be nuked. And I met, and not only did the Olympics become successful, but North Korea participated in the Olympics.
However, the first U.S.-North Korea summit took place in June 2018, 4 months after the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics concluded in February. While discussions about renewed dialogue continue, experts suggest that priorities like trade tariffs may delay progress. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
The government has renewed its calls for the immediate release of 3 South Korean missionaries detained in North Korea for over a decade. The Ministry of Unification strongly condemned Pyongyang's unlawful actions on Friday and called for the immediate and unconditional release of the South Korean nationals. This follows the recent adoption of an opinion by the UN Human Rights Council's Working Group on Arbitrary Detention, which condemned their detention as unjustifiable. Released Thursday, the opinion demands their release, compensation, and an independent investigation. The Army forces of South Korea and the U.S. have held a special target exercise aimed at enhancing strike capabilities in nighttime conditions. South Korea's Army Special Warfare Command said Friday that around 250 troops from the two countries, as well as 16 aircraft, took part in the drill, including South Korea's CH-47 Chinook helicopters and the U.S. Black Hawks. The training involved clearing paths in pitch-black darkness, using advanced equipment to swiftly and precisely strike the enemy's critical facilities. The joint special target exercise was conducted over the past 4 days, from Monday through Wednesday. In other news, Russian President Vladimir Putin has come up with his own demands for the 30-day ceasefire proposed by the U.S. and Ukraine, asking concessions from Kyiv. Choi Soo-hyung tells us more.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said he agreed in principle with the U.S. proposed 30-day Ukraine ceasefire plan, but further terms and details need to be worked out.
We agree with the proposals to stop hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that this ceasefire should be such that it would lead to long-term peace and eliminate the original roots of this crisis.
On Thursday, at a news conference in Moscow, he said the idea was correct and he supported it, but he needs to discuss it with U.S. President Donald Trump, referring to him as our American partner. Putin added that Ukraine would need to accept future conditions before the ceasefire agreement could be reached. He said that a decision should be made on how to handle isolated Ukrainian troops in the Kursk region, one of the areas of contention which he claimed Russia had regained full control of. He also stated that the ceasefire must be ensured, as Ukraine might use the period to secure more troops and supplies of weapons. In response, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy claimed that Putin is tactically preparing to reject the ceasefire deal. Zelenskyy said Putin is the one who will make the situation worse.
We have all just heard very predictable and highly manipulative words from Russia in response to the idea of a ceasefire on the front. We do not set conditions that complicate things. Russia does. Putin has stolen years of peace and continues this war day by day.
He criticized Putin's response as deceptive, stating that the Russian leader was effectively refusing to accept the ceasefire proposal, but responded in this way because he was afraid to tell the U.S. that he wanted to continue the war. Putin is expected to discuss the Ukraine conflict and ceasefire with U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, in Moscow. Choi Soo-hyung, Arirang News.
Friday means it's time for arts and culture. Our culture correspondent Song Yoo-jin joins me in the studio. Welcome, Yoo-jin.
Happy Friday, Jung-min.
Happy Friday. What do you have for us today?
Well, Jung-min, this weekend, history will literally take center stage here in Korea as a powerful ballet piece is proving that stories aren't just written in ink, but they can also be brought to life through movement. So this piece is a production that pays tribute to an independence hero whose final wish was to dance for Korea's freedom. First, take a look.
Jumps, turns, and twirls. Sometimes movement speaks louder than words. The Korean ballet Anjungun, A Dance in Heaven, marks its 10th anniversary this year. An is best remembered for pulling the trigger that changed history, assassinating Japan's first resident general of Korea, Hirobumi Ito. Ito is known to have orchestrated the 1905 Ulsa Treaty, stripping Korea of its diplomatic sovereignty. Director and scriptwriter Yang Young-eun says An's final words before his execution became the heartbeat of this production.
His words, "When I hear the sound of Korea's independence ringing from heaven, I will dance with joy," I realized he must have danced in moments of happiness. That's when I thought, why not tell his story through ballet, one of the purest forms of art?
The ballet traces An's life from his marriage to his beloved wife Kim Aryo at 15 to his final moments at 31. Ballerinos Yoon Jeon-il and Lee Dong-tak play on, which they call an incredible honor.
I've read books, watched documentaries, and studied historical records, but I tried to embody his sacrifices and convictions. I kept asking myself, why did he make those choices? What must it have felt like to give up everything for a greater cause?
I wanted to ensure that An's story in our production flowed seamlessly from the battles he fought, the sorrow of losing his fellow soldiers, his resilience, and how he ultimately carried out his mission.
An's love, agony, and unwavering determination are expressed entirely through motion. This is where the ballet took a bold turn, breaking tradition with creative choices, most notably a rare male Gov't ballet sequence.
Typically, ballet prioritizes symmetry and uniformity, but we push beyond convention. More balanced shifts, expressive upper body movements, and dynamic movements. And our choreographer's Ba Do beautifully conveys Han, Korea's deep sorrow and resilience.
A story once confined to history books now lives on through dance. Each step a heartbeat, each leap a cry for freedom.
It is impressive. Eugene, so this ballet is set to take the stage this weekend. What can audiences expect?
Well, first of all, the 70-minute performance will take place twice, once on Saturday afternoon and the other on Sunday at the Seoul Art Center, as mentioned in my report. And what's really notable about this production this time is that it's inviting National Merit awardees, their families, and those in uniform as part of an effort to promote a shared culture of honoring national service. And there's also a student discount for middle school, high school, and university students to really encourage the younger generation to connect with Korea's history of independence. For more information, you can visit this Seoul Art Center's official website. And I also want to mention that the cast is quite remarkable because principal dancers from Korea's top 2 ballet companies will share the stage. Lee Dong-tak from the Universal Ballet Company mentioned in my report, and Kim Lee-hwae from the Korea National Ballet, who are playing An Jung-gun and his wife Kim Ha-ryo. And director Yang also shared that one of the most powerful moments in the performance has been reworked, the scene where An dreams of his wife after losing his fellow independence fighters in battle. And for the 10th anniversary edition, the choreography and the music have been adjusted to better convey An's guilt and inner turmoil.
Sounds incredible. And I'm sure many of our international viewers might be wondering, will they get a chance to see this piece overseas?
Well, I can say not yet, but hopefully soon, because for the past decade, this production has been really working to solidify his position in Korea's ballet scene. And I want to mention that this is not just a small feat, because here in Korea, especially locally grown, homegrown productions, they're really hard to continue staying on the stage, mainly due to budget constraints. So the fact that this production managed to last for 10 years is really proving that it has found its audience here in Korea. So with that being said, the future looks bright for an international run, because since ballet relies entirely on movement and expression, this means that there's no language barrier, making it accessible to audiences worldwide. So hopefully it won't be not too long until we see this production, An Jung-gun, Dance in Heaven, meet international ballet lovers all around the world.
Our culture correspondent, Song Yujin, thank you as always.
Always a pleasure.
Meanwhile, the southern city of Yeosu is poised to welcome more than 7 cruise ships this year alone. Quite a different scene from the past, at the height of the global pandemic. Our An Sung-jin was at the port.
A 78,000-ton cruise ship with more than 2,000 passengers glides into port. This cruise has come from Japan and has arrived at its first stop in South Korea, the south coast city of Yeosu. Yeosu City Hall aims to provide a glimpse of Korean culture through such traditional performances and show unique aspects of the city as it looks to brand itself as a new cruise destination. As soon as visitors finish their customs checks, they are greeted by Korean snacks, jewelry, and craft work. And for those looking to explore the city even further, a shuttle bus takes them around for free.
Every time we pulled into a port, like today here in South Korea, we were met with wonderful performances, and we found everyone to be very welcoming. We really appreciate the shuttles, and it really helps us to see and to navigate easily.
From must-visit places such as the Isunshin Plaza and its replica historical turtle ship, to the beauty of Odongdo Island or the ocean cable car, the city has plenty for tourists to see and do. After the excitement of Yeosu City, these passengers will head to their next stop in Korea.
Well, we're pretty old hats at this, so we've been doing it this is probably our 12th cruise. Oh, just enjoying this area, right? We really don't know much about, was it Yeosu? Yeosu? Yeah, I don't really know much about that, but we're looking forward to Jeju tomorrow.
To accommodate all the tourists, the city provides administrative support, including temporary currency exchange and tourism information centers, as well as interpreters and tour guides.
With more cruise visitors, whether it's shopping or dining, the local economy of Yeosu is becoming more active. I think this will be an opportunity to improve its brand image and further promote itself, which is why we are putting a lot of attention and support into these MICE and cruise businesses.
The city is expecting to welcome another 6 cruises this year, carrying a total of 10,000 tourists as it looks to put itself on the map as a cruise destination. An Sung-jin, Arirang News, Yeosu.
The yellow dust that covered the skies in the Seoul metropolitan area and the Chungcheongdo provinces yesterday has all been blown away by the easterly winds. For the time being, clear skies will continue nationwide. The temperature in Seoul rose up to 18 degrees Celsius today, recording the highest temperature this year. It will continue to be warm tomorrow, with Seoul reaching up to 16 degrees, but there's rain forecast mainly on the south coast and Jeju Island. On Sunday, there will be sudden change in weather conditions. As the cold is expected to make a return, Gangwon-do and Gyeongsang-buk-do provinces will have heavy snow, which will spread to all over the country. Tomorrow morning will be as warm as 7 degrees in Seoul, Gwangju, and Daegu. Highs will move up to 12 to 16 degrees in most areas. The temperatures in inland areas will fall below 0 degrees next week. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. A panel session coming up.